Previously on Wine Wars.
Welcome to Wine Wars. You're joining the four of us as we sniff, sip, and taste wine here and talk about wine. I'm going to try to do it over because you're shaking your head. Welcome to Wine Wars. Welcome to Wine Wars. You're joining the four of us as we sip. God damn it, you guys. I'm really trying to be fucking pro.
All right.
Okay.
Wine Wars, the show with four friends who love three things: wine and Star Wars.
Welcome to Wine Wars. You're joining the four of us as we sniff, sip, and talk about wine live from our basement here in Madison, Wisconsin. I am your excellent host and spectator, and with me, as always, are my dear friend Amy.
Hello, Anne.
You're hot as hell tonight.
Thank you. I'm feeling hot as hell.
I'm feeling it. Scott.
Hola, caliente señorita.
HBD.
How big is my dong?
How big?
Pretty big.
Hey, Scott, how big dong?
Un poquito.
Well, I meant happy birthday, but I like this course of conversation
thank you.
much better.
Has big dong. I like that better.
Has big dong. Oh, that's nice.
Scott, how's big dong?
Hashtag HBD. Well, thank you for the birthday wishes, Anne. It's here I am again.
Congratulations on your dong.
Thank you.
Slightly older.
That's why we moved in together after 2 dates.
Oh, man.
That's
I
a
wasn't
fun
messing
story.
around.
Maybe we'll taste
Am
some
I right,
wine and talk about that some
radio
more.
listeners? Oh.
Jason, how are you?
I'm very happy to be here.
It's like his 7th accent. We've been on the air 2 minutes.
Is that Welcome to America?
Yeah, Coming to America.
Oh,
Welcome to Coming to America.
So tonight, we really need to get to it because speaking of Scott's dong, he's had like a perma hard on since the minute he arrived hours ago about the Spanish wines that we'll be tasting this evening.
So
Got
proud.
to
It's
say.
getting to the point where we might need to call a doctor. Are you hanging in there?
I think it's like 6 hours. After 6 hours, you call a doctor.
So we're in a
not-
safe zone.
Yeah.
But
We're
we should
okay
get
now.
going.
Yes, we should.
These are Spanish wine Viagra.
It's a Spanish fly.
Spanish fly.
See,
Van Halen.
you're on your own with that one.
Yeah.
So Van Halen had a song. It was not so much a song as it was like the sequel to Eruption called Spanish Fly, but he did all of this whole acoustic guitar solo on a nylon string acoustic guitar, and it is remarkably cool. So Spanish Fly, go check it out, everybody.
Goog it.
Well, there should be a special song for the Jason randomness.
The
Van Halen, Jason Rand.
Van Jason.
Yeah, he needs like a Van Halen guitar.
Could be like, might as well jump off a bridge while Jason's talking about Van Halen.
Go
Am
on
I
and
right?
jump.
Van Halen, who else?
Spanish wines.
So yes, we have previously talked about Rioja, which is going to be the most popular region of Spain that most people will probably have heard of if you have an interest in wine. The other more popular region is going to be Ribera del Duero, which of those two really you're talking about Tempranillo and Garnacha, which we are not drinking tonight. We're actually moving west, so in northwest Spain. In the
Oregon of Spain.
The Oregon of Spain, yep.
Oh, I love it already.
It's actually similar climate. Well, kind of. It's mountainous. It's very green. The summers are great. It averages 75 degrees.
Oh my God.
Oh.
Sounds like Oregon.
And in the winter, it averages 38.
Yeah.
So it's essentially perfect weather.
At all times.
Yes, relatively speaking. Right. So
Would you say they average about 27 inches of rain a year?
You know, Anne, I would. Because
I mean, if I was going to put an average on it.
if I had to Google an average,
I think 28 is too much and
26 is too little. 27 is the sweet spot. It's that
about
porridge.
right.
Alexa, what is the rainfall in
Bierzo, Spain.
P.S. We got rickrolled by Alexa tonight.
Yes.
right.
I didn't think that could happen, but it happened.
Alexa being your Amazon.com version of Siri,
Yeah.
right?
And
For those who don't know.
I talk to Alexa like
got
I
it.
do every day since
We
I got
got it
her
today.
this afternoon. And I said, Alexa, Play some fucking Depeche Mode.
Never gonna let you down. Never gonna let you down. Never gonna let you down.
And
Or
let you down.
That's
You
right.
guys are musicians.
Right? That's how it goes.
That's exactly
I did
what
like the
There was a little dance.
goulet.
So northwest Spain, we're talking about Bierzo in particular. There's a few other regions. So this is essentially just west of Lyon. And a region that really has come into its own in the last 20 years or so. The main grape that you're going to find in this region is Mencia. No relation to the hack comic, Carlos. Who, actually, ironically, Carlos Mencia has a younger brother named Chewy.
Hold on.
Wow.
That was my
What's his chair?
Barstool on tile chewy.
So,
I never noticed that before.
this is a region that's really coming in its own, and a lot of sommeliers go apeshit over Bierzo wine. And Bierzo is the main place you're going to get Mencia. It's really the top region in Spain that does this. No other countries really touch this grape. It in the past was confused for Cab Franc, and actually when we were tasting the wines over dinner, the third one we'll talk about, Jason just goes, "Oh my God, it's just like a Cab Franc," and for the longest time
That's funny.
it was thought to be Cab Franc.
This is the same grape in all three of these ones?
Same grape in all three. Yes.
Get out of here.
I will not, because I have
Would you
to talk.
just shut the fuck up and get out of here, Scott?
It's my birthday, Ann. I'm going to stick around.
And you have an HBD.
HBD.
You can't kick me out of this podcast. My birthday.
So, yeah, we actually have 3 bottles from the same producer, Raúl Pérez, Raulperez. And his family actually has been working in this region since the 1700s?
Clinton
Aren't they like
administration?
7 generations?
1752. So,
So
you do the
before
math.
the Clinton administration.
Before we were even a country.
Before Hamilton the musical.
Before Hamilton the musical had its source material.
Wow.
That is correct,
That's
Ann.
old.
I think my mind just got blown.
I know. Your hat just flew off.
It was like a cartoon.
Turned into an accordion. But his family's label Castro Ventosa, and I should say when you're talking this region of Spain, their S's have a lisp to them, so it's probably Ventosa, but I'm just going to say S.
And a Mencia grape.
Yes, it's the Mencia grape, but that's how I'm going to go. So yeah, they've been around for a long time. So this lineage that Raul grew up in, I think really afforded him the ability to kind of go off the beaten path with the wines that he makes.
Off the beaten path.
Off the beaten path.
Which one am I supposed to be drinking right now? Because this glass is empty.
Yeah,
So,
I've got the same
wait for
problem.
It. Wait for it.
Jason will pour you a little bit there. So we
El
have
Castro del
Oh, God. Here, Jason goes in.
Valtuille?
Valtuille.
Valtuille.
So Valtuille is actually the village in Bierzo. So all 3 of these wines actually have
Little
that
less than
village listed on the wine. And they all will say, so for example, this one says El Castro de Valtuille. So Castro being the family label from the village of Valtuille. So the first one we're drinking is labeled Joven, Joven. And it should also be said that Portugal also grows Mencia as well, a little bit. But the Bierzo region where we're drinking from is the main area that you'll get it from. So the first wine we're drinking, and actually I think you have all the history notes on one of your sheets there, but
It's made from the youngest vines on the estate.
there you go.
Aged between 20 to 40 years.
Okay.
What?
The vines.
The vines are about 20 to 40 years of age.
Oh, okay.
So they are millennials.
No, because I'm in that age.
perennials?
That age
You're
range.
at the top range, but
For
the majority
right now, in this moment,
a 20-year-old's a millennial. 25-year-old's a millennial.
It's fermented in a stainless steel tank, and then placed in oak cask for like 4 months, right?
To
So you're
age.
saying it's
4 to 8.
Oaky.
Oaky.
Well, so you get a different flavor profile when you ferment in stainless steel versus oak. When you ferment in oak, you pick up a lot more of the flavors because there's more chemical reaction going on, a lot more volatility.
I don't think it smooths out quite the same.
What do you mean? What's that?
It doesn't have. I don't know if it's the oak that does it, but it doesn't quite have the roundness.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Tighter up front.
And
yeah,
they
like kind of sharp.
right, they
Yeah.
don't age this as much. So in the other wines, when we get to, a lot of them are kind of aged for about a year or so in barrels. These only 4 months isn't that long of a time. So it's a young drinking grape, a young drinking wine. So depending on the production style, the Mencia grape can be drunk very young or aged quite a while. So some of these that we have, the last one we'll talk about, you could probably hang on to that for 10 years and it'll still be good to go.
This is no filtration.
Yeah, you'll see that.
Yeah, it is a...
So a little cloudy.
Cloudy.
So what that means, filtration, you literally run the liquid through a filter, much like your French press coffee maker, racking up the dink points.
Ding, 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 ding.
So for listeners, that's a new thing we've invented now.
We've coined.
Every time we dink dual income, no kids, we have a ding, 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 a tally running.
Yep.
And we're really knocking it out of the park.
Oh, yeah. Top-notch dinkers.
I think we won when I pulled out the hemp milk.
Ding, 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 ding.
So good, though. It puts almond and
Is it-
soy to shame.
is
And don't
it-
even start me on rice.
Rice milk?
Ugh.
I think
it's like water.
milk is kind of gross, actually.
What's
I
that?
think anything white is kind of just gross. Like Star Wars when Aunt Beru is making the
Blue milk.
The blue milk.
Ew.
Yeah, like, no.
But that's not white. Anywho,
So you were kind of talking about like
that.
fermenting in oak versus aging in oak.
so when you age it in oak, it more slowly extracts the flavors of the oak versus fermenting it in the oak. So this one, fermented in steel, is going to be more representative of just straight up the grape flavor.
Yeah.
And then when you age it a little bit in oak, that'll do a little bit of the rounding, enhance the flavor a little bit.
Well, and when we were talking to the representative from this vineyard, wasn't she saying how like their philosophy was to kind of let the grape do its thing?
So
And that is part of the reason why it's cloudy.
yeah, we should tell a little backstory on this. We actually got all three of these wines from a wine tasting at Wine Maniacs in Oconomowoc. Jason, Amy, and myself went to. Anne, unfortunately, could not join us.
I think I was working for a living and bringing home the almighty dollar.
You were working for the weekend.
It feels like 1 million years ago. Was it? Are these?
was about a year
Are these
ago.
wines 1 million?
I know these
year
grapes
vintage?
stand up for quite a while, but I don't think it's quite that long.
So it was actually a tasting highlighting the importer boutique wine collection. So they had a bunch of different producers from Austria, Spain, Champagne was there. So we went through, I think there was like a good 25 different wines that we tasted that night. And oh man, did it hit us. It's so much so that we bought some rosé. And this was back before Jason. This was back before Jason was way into rosé.
I'm so into rosé these days.
You are so into rosé.
It's been a perfect, beautiful summer, and it turned Jason into a rosé connoisseur.
I could just pull one out right now. You guys want me to pull out a rosé?
I'm
We can
good.
Just drink it.
We have 3 beautiful wines we have to drink here. But to your point, Amy, yes. So
Denied.
Raul, like I said, he's a little off the beaten path. He does things a little non-traditional. So he does a lot of whole cluster fermentation, meaning you keep the stems with the grapes while you're fermenting. Because quite often you'll take them off the stems, crush the grapes.
So he keeps it on the lees?
No, lees is something. So
Or that lees is
Yeah.
the yeast?
lees is the result of the fermentation.
Oh.
To do whole cluster fermentation means you essentially you cut the grapes, the whole cluster,
Right.
and you toss it in. You leave the stems on altogether, and then they do. So if you remember back when we were talking with Louis Antoine Louis from Chile, Pigeage, stomping the grapes with their feet, they do a lot of that stuff. So
So they do crush them.
yep, they crush them.
I'm surprised this isn't more tannic if that's the way he rolls.
Well, so
Tannic though.
it is.
Is the tannic what the sharpness is that I'm
When
getting?
your face just dries, like
Kind of like, it just reminds me of like a really sharp cheddar, like that kind of sharpness. I don't know how else to explain it.
I think of it more like a black tea, like a tea that's steeped a really long time.
Yeah, it dries out.
Makes your face dry.
Especially like the center of your tongue. It just sucks it dry. Yeah.
Which is what's happening here.
Absolutely. So let's talk about this wine a bit. So as you said, Anne, it's a much younger vine.
So it looks like it's pronounced Joven, but I'm assuming it means, or is pronounced Joven, and it means the young wine in Spanish and has nothing to do with covens or witches or any of the things that I originally had hoped for.
Well, I think for the price tag of this, it's spectacular.
What is that price tag?
I think it was $18.
It's probably 18 to 20.
Yeah, which was the least expensive of everything we bought that night.
This is not a entry level wine.
No.
Meaning
this
someone
is
new, someone new to
upper
drinking?
intermediate level. And I definitely wouldn't like this. I would never bring this to a book club kind of thing. I would definitely have this with some people who have a little bit more developed palates, and I would bring it to a nice dinner party. Like, you definitely want to have food with it, I think.
I don't know how easy this is to find either.
There's that too.
Well, so this particular producer is very well known for the region. So Bierzo is starting to get a lot more popular. So you should be able to find some form of the Mencia grape from Bierzo in your local liquor store, hopefully. And you probably will find it like the $15 to $25 range.
Well, and the other thing is, like, if you want to try something different, talk to the people at your wine shop and say, hey, I want to try this out. And, if they get enough demand, they're going to, they are there to make you happy. So
Absolutely.
Start asking for some of these things.
So the notes I had on this when we were having dinner with it, I got it like smoky black pepper, licorice. It's very soft and sparkly. It tastes like if you could liquefy a ruby. I imagine this is what a ruby tastes like.
Yeah, it's
But then
almost
sprinkle some black pepper on your ruby, maybe.
Right.
like a little sharp, tiny metallic, maybe. Is that where the stone kind of mineral metal?
And that should be said too. So this region, Bierzo, the soil there,
Good call.
excuse me, has a lot of slate in the region, so you can get a lot of that minerality in the flavor profile.
Where we said that I thought the big dog that we're gonna have was Cab Franc. The lower we got on the totem pole here, I wouldn't have known. I wouldn't have even had a relative grape to say like, oh, this tastes like,
To compare it to.
Yeah.
like, that tastes so.
It's very unique.
It's unique, delicious. But I if it was presented to me, I don't think I would have been able to say, oh, that's a Cab or that's a Pinot. That's like I don't know. I would have said I don't know if I've ever had this before.
It's in a league all its own.
agree.
I suppose
And I
just like
love
the
it.
winemaker, from what it sounds like.
And that's, like I said, they've really, so Spanish wine history. So as I said, like Rioja's obviously their most popular. So this area of Spain got hit hard with phylloxera. They had to restart their whole stock of wine, and really wasn't considered respectable until the 1990s, when modern technology and winemaking techniques allowed them to produce more quality, more consistent products. In Bierzo, there's only about 75-ish registered wineries, so it's a relatively small region, like especially when you compare it to like California. You can hit 75 wineries in like 5 miles in Napa. And of those, only about half of them are going to export. So it's an up and comer, but that also means you can get a really good value for the price. Like, so $15 to $20 for this, I think, is a really good wine.
Yeah.
As you said, Amy, it's not necessarily an entry level, I'm just starting out drinking, unless you have a really, you want to jump in and try something.
Yeah,
Great.
I think you just need to be kind of intentional. And then my
Right.
advice would be think about where you're buying from. Northwest part of Spain. So make a dinner that has tomatoes or seafood, or make a event out of it so you can really appreciate it. Because this wine is drinks completely differently alone than it did with dinner, which we made paella.
And with these as well, in terms of pairing, a lot of meats, peppery meats, would go well with it. So I've read, I will not, Anne and I are pescatarians, meaning we only eat seafood, won't eat red meat. But a lot of those meats go very well with these as well. So,
But yeah, like get some of these wines and have a tapas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's truly what they live to be paired with food, and it's all three. Scott and I were talking about this before you guys came down. It was like this 3 group of wines was probably my favorite 3 wines we've had together
Really?
on the show. I think each one is so good, and they're
unique.
That is a
Well, yeah, they're
major
so different,
Wine Wars
too.
endorsement right there.
Yeah,
folks.
pretty
That's not a
major.
joke.
So if you do come across something in this vein, snap it up because it's going to hold its own for a while. Like you can cellar it for a few years if it takes you a while to
For sure.
put together that fabulous dinner party.
And
I
ask you,
kind of wish we had a different producer from this region, so we would have had some frame of reference of like, well, is it all good, this good there, or is
well, you
this,
know what? We can come back.
We can always drink
always-
more Spanish wines.
Just
We
do it.
can figure this out.
And
wanna do it right now?
I think Spain as a whole is a very good value. You can get a lot of, even just like $9-10 bottles. I think Garnacha is a really underutilized grape. You can get a killer bottle of wine for $10 from Spain, Garnacha.
I would say in general on Spain that it tastes different than what I think most people think red wine is going to taste like. Like if you're used to Cabernet and Merlot or something and you get any Spanish wine you pick up just tastes different than those traditional grapes. And it's you have to think about it and not dismiss it. Like recognize that it's different for a reason.
I think as a young wine
that
drinker,
the
I was not into it.
I wasn't either.
It was like not fruity enough or whatever. But which, as a more mature wine drinker, is what I'm looking for. It's pretty refined. It's got more tannin. It's got more.
To me, when I
Interesting.
It's interesting. It's got
To-
layers.
yeah, when I drink this, and I'll pour you a little more in. So we're moving on to
moving
the
on.
second bottle
This
here.
is number 2.
So this
Thank
is
you.
their Crianza version of that.
Crianza meaning
So Crianza means it has to meet certain criteria to be labeled as such. Aged for 2 years, at least 6 months in oak. This one is $25, so still not outrageous.
But it is jumping out of the glass and attacking me.
Absolutely.
Yeah, holy buckets.
So this
the
is
nose on this.
this is fermented in French oak.
Wow.
A 500-liter barrel, which is a big vat. I won't do the conversion because I'm a dumb American. But then it's aged for a year in French oak. So you get a lot more complexity with this one.
I think it smells French.
I'm getting some cheese on that.
Yeah.
Hey, what do you see as my first flavor profile that I wrote down?
Cheese! You wrote down cheese.
Parmesan cheese.
Hey,
What?
cheers your palate.
no, yeah, I'm with you. Which is a weird, like that's an odd.
It's kind of that
thing.
saltiness
Yeah.
that you get into the Parmesan, that sharpness. And again, licorice. On all of these, you're going to get licorice. That I get anyway.
I don't get any liquid.
Huh.
Really?
I don't.
The anise from licorice?
Well, on that first one, I got more of a.
Well, maybe
We
like
talked about the eucalyptus, menthol,
Okay. Maybe that's
deep
what I'm thinking
underneath, and I can see how those sort of line up.
but I would put it like in the same
of. I'm thinking like red rope licorice.
category.
These are red fruit wines.
Right.
This is where your ruby came in.
Right.
That's a great wine.
And this one seems a little bit more filtered than the first one that we tried.
Yeah.
But it's still got some cloudiness to it.
I'm not sure. I wouldn't suspect this to be filtered either. It didn't list on the website. So this
It does feel. I'm with you. It's clearer,
Yeah.
cleaner.
the website for the importer actually, and again I'll repeat it, Boutique Wine Collection. So if you go to their website, they actually have a really well laid out website about all the wines that they import. That was one of the best I've ever seen. of a wine importer's website. A lot of really good information about the wines, a lot of really good detail year after year of their whole portfolio.
Wineboutique.com?
Boutique Wine Collection.
BoutiqueWineCollection.com.
I believe that's what it is. So these are the vines here. So you're starting to look into the baby boomers actually approaching the greatest generation, 70 to 80 years. So the vines here are going to be digging a lot deeper into the soil, hitting that slate, getting a lot more of that minerality to the profile. Yeah,
it's totally happening.
Remind me again, how deep do the roots go?
I want to say it's like
as deep as they need to, baby.
I remembered.
I was gonna say never deep enough.
Never deep enough.
You kind of go until you like.
That's different.
You butt. They go down until they butt up against the cervix.
I have to
Or
pee.
the bedrock.
You're hurting.
You don't get that because you're men.
You're hurting my lungs.
If I remember correctly, it's about like 30 feet that they can go down.
Okay, that's deep enough.
Right.
Yeah. What? Plenty deep.
So they can extract a lot of flavor from that depth, and also so the region, the Bierzo, because they get a how much rainfall do they get a year in?
27?
Oh yeah,
27 inches. And the soil, so you have a lot of slate, but there's also a lot of clay material, so that it absorbs the moisture. They don't really do a lot of irrigation, so it's very natural.
Oh,
That's
because
nice.
Hands off.
The clay holds onto the
Right.
water.
Right.
Nice.
So, what did you think of this, Em?
Sorry, you caught me right as I'm yawning.
I'll
Mid-yawn.
go. Since she's in the middle of, she's mid-yawn. I'll go. This wine, of the three, actually, surprisingly, might be my favorite. Because it's so balanced and even keel with that mineral. Like, it feels like there's the most terroir going on here. Or as the French would say,
Terroir.
right.
It makes me wonder what it would taste like if you ate a little piece of red licorice and a little piece of Parmesan at the same time.
Weird.
See, I would just want to have like
Probably weird.
cured Spanish
Meats.
meats,
I'm with you.
just-
I'm with you.
just finely sliced.
You know what I
nothing
want to have
else.
with this is those little fried sardines.
That sounds really good.
I'm not saying I want
too.
to eat red licorice with it. I'm saying
Would it compare?
perhaps your face would taste the same after.
Right.
But anyway,
I don't really know
of
what
the
I
three,
mean.
I feel like this wine's so
So, yeah.
nicely refined.
For the
And-
price,
Yeah, and for the price,
this is the winner for
What
sure.
are we talking?
$25-ish.
25-ish.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
25ish.
25-ish. American, U.S. dollars.
Dollar strong.
It's really
Strong
nice.
like
You
bull.
don't have to try quite as hard with this one to appreciate what's going on. It's kind of like all
Oh.
up in your face.
Yeah, it's obvious. Like that's
Yeah.
good.
And even on the nose, it's a lot more going on with it.
It was it just really filled like my whole headspace with the nose instead of just being like a light floral scent or whatever, or a little bit of fruit. It's like, no, it's an all-encompassing sensual experience.
Can we say again the year on this?
Oh, so this one's actually 2010. So the first bottle we drank was a 2012. So this one's in 2010. So that Crianza labeling that you have to, in order to get that designation in Spain, like I said, you have to hold on to the bottle for 2 years before they can release it. So this one they must have held on to a little bit longer. We got this last year, 2015 is when we purchased. So, 5 years when they were releasing it.
Have you guys ever read the book Snow Falling on Cedars?
No, I've heard it narrated though. Oh my god. The audiobook version.
I keep thinking of the cover of that book when I sniff this,
Oh yeah, I can
which
see
is a
that.
very misty. I think it's like Vancouver, that
Van Halen?
Spanish fly.
North American Northwest cedar hillside, mountainside with snow falling. So I'm getting like cedar smell, but muted and kind of cold climate.
For sure. When I taste Spanish wines, I just instantly think of mountains. Like
Yeah.
the
Dewy.
Right.
I think of like
Soil.
a late September morning in
Crisp.
the mountains.
Yeah.
Kind of just like clean, like there's mountain springs and there's a chill in the air, but you only need a little sweater. You don't need to bundle up totally.
You're probably wearing cute boots.
Oh,
Boots?
definitely wearing cute boots. And a little cute hat with a pom-pom on
I'm
it.
going to wear my Crocs, if that's okay.
I think we need to move on to this
It's
wine.
jaunty, if you
Jaunty.
will.
It's dancey. I like it. Without being like light and airy. Like it definitely holds its own.
I think you guys need to slam that now.
Slam it and move on.
Have you moved on?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Look
so-
at that pour. It's definitely the
This is the next one.
third wine.
Okay, listeners. Bend over.
'Cause it's
So,
coming.
I mean, you don't have to slam it, but as we talk about this sucker,
Here comes the 2010
Damn.
Caltuille.
I
Tuile?
mistyped that on it. Again, it's Valtuille, they say on the front. So again, the village, Valtuille.
it's the village Valtuille.
Well,
Right.
and
I
in
see.
Spanish, a double L is pronounced as a Y.
Why
Valtuille.
would that be?
So,
Valtuille.
Tuille. I'm
Valtuille.
guessing Valtuille.
So again, same region we're talking about here, but now this is a single vineyard,
I'm getting
Pre-
plums.
a
Stewed
pre-phylloxera
plum.
village.
Pre-phylloxera.
So phylloxera
You don't
hit,
see that every day.
hit Spain in the 1800s. So these vines are over 100 years old.
So how did they? How did the vines not succumb to the phylloxera?
Armed
You could
guards.
Stormtroopers.
It's
Coming out
science.
of the water.
So I would say some of it has to do with luck. Some of it has to do with the soil.
Phylloxera.
Phylloxera, right. Yeah, you got it.
Oh, that's good.
But so like when you think of the Pacific Northwest in the U.S., they didn't really get hit with phylloxera because a lot of the soil and the way that the vineyards were laid out, they're not as close knit
Okay.
as with like California.
Sure. Do you think that was there elevation?
Elevation is a
factor?
material, so we're going up into the mountains a little bit with this here.
Yeah.
The soil is more slaty, so the phylloxera, which is actually like an aphid for those who aren't aware, destroyed the rootstock when it got brought back from the U.S. All the European vines just got decimated. So it'll have to do with the environment that they were grown in, so altitude, soil, and then also how closely they are to the next vineyard over. So if the next vineyard over is a couple miles, you might survive. But if it's across the street,
Yeah. You're
Contamination.
exposed.
exactly.
Hey,
Hey.
Amy.
Hey, Anne.
This one is called La Cova de la Raposa or something.
Mm-hmm.
And it means,
Cave of the Vixen.
right?
What do you think that
Cave of the
means?
Vixen.
La Cova de la Raposa.
Oh, that's way
Wow.
hotter that way. And I think, I don't know. I'm just feeling
I think
like
I've been in
that
the
could
Cave
be
of the
the
Vixen
next
once or
Annika
twice.
Bridsby story.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's how her whole adventure started, was
Right.
through a cave.
Right.
So
And then she got more action in a different cave. Mm-hmm. If you know what I mean.
for new listeners, what are you talking about?
Oh, I'm just talking about these fantasy romance books I write.
Look her up on the Google.
Yep. I'm the only EMIGH candidate on the planet.
In the known universe.
Ah.
Yeah.
Wow.
In the known
You're-
multiverse.
Wow, you're a true original.
Technically,
So
the
Google
multiverse
me.
is unknown.
I like to be Googled.
Google
It's a hot read, folks.
It's pretty hot.
So, Anne, what do you think of this wine?
I really am enjoying myself a great deal. It feels very special. I feel like every drop is.
I haven't even tasted it because I just had my nose in the cup.
And this,
could just
this
smell
is
this for days.
This is a splurger for Scott's birthday
Yes.
right here. This is not for the
Yeah.
faint of cash.
So
This
for-
was the most money that the candidates ever spent on a bottle of wine.
We
Ding,
racked
ding,
up
ding,
a
ding,
lot
ding,
of
ding.
dink points. So for new listeners, yes, we normally don't hang out in this price range.
No.
This is a $70 bottle of wine. This was a special splurge, as Jason said. And
But we're celebrating Scott's HBD, huge big dick.
Dong.
HBD, HBD.
sorry, Mom, for that's listening.
Oh, I'm sorry,
I'm
Maureen.
not sorry.
Sorry.
So going back to our wine tasting night, this was, I think, like the
I
second.
forgot that I'm friends with your mom when I talked about this the whole time.
She reads
she can
my
deal.
romance novels, and she's like, "Don't tell me what parts are from your real life experience."
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Of it.
Anyway, you
Going
were
back
saying
to our wine tasting night, I think this was the second to last producer we had. So the other 20 wines in front of it definitely helped loosen the wallet.
right.
Yeah, but I would maintain that we had nothing. And even having these again, we had nothing like this. This was super
I remember
special.
when we went to her little
Out of
table
20 wines.
and we tasted these, and we all had the same reaction, which
We
was,
all-
"Holy fucking shit, this is amazing! We need to get some of that."
We're classy individuals. We all said that at the same
Holy
time.
We did.
fucking shit.
Exactly that way to her face.
This
See?
is sharper with the anesthetic.
Oh, and
No.
the Band-Aid.
The Band-Aid.
Yeah,
The menthol.
The menthol.
Mentholyptus.
I feel like it could age for a good long time
This
while
one
that
is-
rounds out.
Yes, so this is built to last a good 20, 25 years if you would like.
So here's a question: Is it the Barolo?
In
Or-
Italy,
Yeah, is that the one that's made to age for like 10 years?
Barolo, yeah, you can age 10, 20, 30, 40, 50.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of pleasantly surprised that we've got a grape right here that's not really popular that could be a contender against a Barolo.
Sure.
Same price range, though, really. Ish.
Yeah,
Well,
generally speaking.
Maybe like not as popular, just like not
Well-
as well known, not as.
Oh, yeah, this is nowhere near as popular as
But
Barolo.
how? So, Scott, tell them how many of these exist
So-
in the world.
These wines, so since it's such a low yield vineyard because it's pre-phylloxera, 100 plus years old, you don't get a lot of grapes produced every year. So it's very limited run.
Each glass has one grape.
There actually is a formula how many grapes to a gallon or something. I can't remember it, but 7. So since it's such a limited run, they only produce about 500 bottles a year.
500. So we have
And we're drinking one
one of 500.
right now.
I just think it's kind of magical that the wine in my glass is coming from a vine that's over 100 years old. Mm-hmm. That's
pretty
so
cool.
magical. I
Think
mean,
of-
who can say that like when you're drinking your beer, your microbrew?
My hops are 2 years
Yeah,
old.
yeah, it's not the
I mean,
same world.
not that
Hence-
I'm knocking beer,
No.
but I'm just saying if I had my choice between the two, I'm a wine gal.
Sure. And hence, they're making tons of gallons, wise $10 for a 6-pack versus
Right. 70 for one
70
bottle.
for one bottle. Yeah.
One bottle out of 500 in the whole
It is more special, and that's why it's a
freaking
premium.
multiverse.
What? When we took this first sip, this was the wine that I said, "Oh my God, it's
Cab
Cab Franc. It's got the weight, it's got the density, and then the
This one you can barely even see through it.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
lot darker. That's because, so this was aged in French oak for 20 months. And actually, interesting with the fermentation process. So you okay over there, Erin? She's choked up on how great the wine is.
She's so happy right now.
we've been decanting this also for about
Yes,
3 hours now,
at least.
and it's actually opened up quite a bit.
Yeah. So depending on the production style of these grapes of the Mencia from this region, you will want to decant, unless it's like the steel vat fermented ones. Those you can probably pop and drink right away. But something like this, you're going to want to decant, let it aerate. So this one was fermented in French oak barrels again, but left to macerate, meaning sitting on the skins for 90 days. So it extracted a lot of
Lot
the
of
color
color.
profile, a lot of the tannin from the grape skins in those 90 days. That's why this is much darker.
It's like it's inky.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
This is one of those wines that probably you may not need to have with food.
I
'Cause
was
it's-
just thinking like I don't need to have food with this to enjoy the hell out of it.
Yeah, I think it stands on its own.
I read that in my 60 seconds of research that this region is known in some places as the Burgundy of Spain, which makes sense to me for the first wine, which was that unfiltered, heavy kind of creaminess. that was Pinot in nature. This, not so much. Like, I would agree with you. It's more Barolo.
style.
Yeah, it's inky and dark and big and in your
And
face.
Cab Franc, then you're going Bordeaux. Mm-hmm. So, as I said earlier, for the longest time, they thought this was
Loire.
Cab Franc. They thought it was brought down from like French missionaries coming down through. There's a road that runs through this region. They thought it was the French brought the grape down, but
Oh, right, because like wasn't it like the monks in the Middle Ages that saved winemaking?
Absolutely. We actually,
awesome.
so during the Dark Ages, the monasteries in this region kept.
I just went into Godfather with my monk voice.
I was thinking Monty Python and waiting for you to hit your head with the plank of wood.
But we'll talk about that in a different episode about how religion both almost destroyed and saved.
I
We'll
remember
have to be pretty drunk for that conversation.
Yes.
Great.
when I first put my nose into this bad boy, I was at my mom's house today, and she had freshly mulched and planted a whole series of new bushes and trees, and I was standing out there, and I was like, "Wow, is that an amazing smell? This like
All
earthy,
that shredded cedar bark.
yeah."
Just wood chips and stuff.
Yeah, so it might have been just too fresh in my head, but when I put my nose into this thing right away, I was like, "That's that smell, that musty, early morning earth smell."
It's such a good smell.
That sounds nice.
Yeah.
This is nice.
It's one of the best noses of any wines I think I've ever had.
Yeah, well, it compares with, what was that Spanish one we have at the silver label?
Vivino.
Oh, my
So that was a
God.
Tempranillo, I believe from Rioja, if I remember correctly.
That wine could do me all night.
Still right there.
Oh,
But
God.
that was more Pinot-y. It was lighter.
Yeah.
Yes, that was more akin to the first bottle.
But
Yeah.
its nose.
It knows what.
Earth.
Oh, God, that's great. Anyway, okay, so what did we learn?
So Mencia grape, northwest Spain. Bierzo is where we talked about other regions that will have Mencia as well, or Mencia. Ribiera, Sacara. I'm butchering these. I'm sorry, Spain. And then Valdeorras. And then Portugal as well, a little bit. But I highly recommend people seek out this region, Bierzo in particular, because they're killing it with this grape. It's very unique, very up and coming. You can find a great value for the price. I highly recommend it.
So, here's an idea. Like, can you kind of tell our listeners, like, what do they say when they go into the wine shop? What are they going to ask for?
So, Bierzo, Spain, is what they want to ask for. In Bierzo, in order to produce your wine, I believe it's 70-ish% has to be Mencia grape. So if you get anything from Bierzo that's a red, it's going to be a Mencia grape. So that's all. Pretty much all you have to go in and tell them that you want from that. And then maybe if a little more detail, if you want to get something that's fermented in stainless steel, oaked, unoaked, you give them a little more detail that way. But Bierzo, Spain. That's what I'm looking for.
So I'm just going to walk in to my local shop and be like, hey, I'm looking for a Bierzo from Spain. Can you help me out?
And if they don't know what you're talking about,
They should be fired.
Probably just leave.
Probably.
Ding, 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 ding.
Today, when I went to Steve's to buy we had a white earlier as we are amuse-bouching.
Gadeo, Gadolleo, I believe.
I
is what
have
it
a
is.
review of that white wine.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, it was fine.
Yeah, it was.
It was adequate.
Randy at Steve's said it was the most Chablis-ish of any white from Spain. Doesn't seem like Spain has it's not
So
what
Rias
they
Brachas,
do as much.
region of Spain. That's going to be their most well known. So the
As
other
in not known.
so Spain isn't very well known for its whites, but Rias
so I'm picking
Brachas
up.
actually is a. I'll bring you some. You'd
Well,
like
we'll
it.
have to probably do a show with Spanish whites.
Bring us some whites from
Bring you some
Spain.
whites.
I thought that wine that we had it was not expensive. That was a $14 white. Mm-hmm. And for $14 for a white
It was fine.
was fine.
It was fine.
It was
That's
nice
what
and
I said.
minerally,
Yeah, it's fine.
but not blowing your mind off.
Okay, now this is over. This
right.
is done now, folks. Amy, do you want to showcase your new laugh for listeners before I sign out here? Do you... What is it?
Handsome Dan. Wayne's World.
Your new laugh. Amy has the worst new laugh. Can't believe it didn't come out.
It's never gonna
It's a
come
si-
out again.
It's not Sideshow Bob. It's Krusty the Clown.
Yeah.
You guys are the worst.
Oh, it's bad. Okay.
I will say, listeners, leave a review on iTunes. We'll give you a shout out in a future episode. Like us on Facebook, Twitter, etc., etc.
Insta,
Graham.
Stitcher,
Graham.
etc.
Graham.
And we're so glad that you're following along. Hi to all of our new friends in Hong Kong.
Yeah, that's cray.
That
is
is cray.
Oh, did we talk about that?
No, we have listeners in Hong Kong, Singapore,
Sweden?
Vietnam, Sweden, Norway.
I love that we have an international audience.
It's weird though because we have no American following.
They're probably just learning how to swear in English. And we can do even better on that fucking shit.
Oh my
Roll on
fucking
his
god!
shit.
I hear.
That's why I would listen to an international podcast.
To learn
Yeah,
accents.
teach me how to swear.
I think I know how to say I must again fart water in my pants in German.
I must again fart water.
In my pants.
Do it.
Okay.
Do it.
Ich muss wieder Wasser fatzen in der Hasse.
All right. So if our German listeners can fact check that and let us know, winewarspodcast@gmail.com.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, that's been Wine Words for this week. All those other things we already said, and remember until next time.
It's just grape juice.